Welcome to our show, and good to have with us Sean Youngerman, Cowboy pitcher. Welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Good to have you here. All right, let's first ask the obvious question. How are you feeling?
Pretty good. Feeling good. Excited to go into this weekend, and hopefully take it to Cincinnati.
Yeah, things are getting better physically.
Absolutely, yes.
So what's the transition been like? You came from the Division II ranks, Westmont College in California, and then you came here. So what's that transition been like? Let's first start on the baseball side, and we'll work into other topics.
I mean, just on the baseball side, it's just been a tremendous opportunity so far. Get to be around guys that are here and get to learn from the coaching staff. I have access to a lot more resources than I had before. That's honestly just helped with my development recently, and keeping me strong and healthy, and just giving me all the tools I need to work on things and get better and keep going out there and competing.
Fantastic. Walk us through the process, how you ended up here.
So my head coach from my last school at Westmont, this past summer, kind of unexpected to the guys, decided he was going to take another job somewhere else. It was something that was best for his family. So I kind of took it as a sign. I had been thinking, hey, maybe transfer, maybe find a different place. But wasn't going to do it. I wanted to go back and play for him. So when I found out that news that he switched schools, I decided, it's a sign, let me go somewhere else, or at least explore other options. I hopped into the portal, got connected with Oklahoma State and a few other schools, but came here on my visit and honestly just fell in love.
Did you anticipate that you could get an offer, an opportunity as good as this one? Don't take that the wrong way, but
Right.
That's a big jump. Were you surprised at all that opportunity was there, or did you think that, I can do that? What was that like?
I definitely thought that there was going to be some sort of opportunity. I wasn't quite sure what extent that opportunity was going to be at. So for me, it was kind of just see what was out there, see what was going to be beneficial for me and my family, and obviously, like I said, somewhere I could go and develop and still get opportunities. So to your question, basically, is no, I wasn't fully sure of where or what it was going to be or anything like that, but things happen for a reason, and yeah.
How have you? Let me say it this way: what have you added to your arsenal, or what have you refined pitching-wise since you've been here that's most significant?
I would say two things. Honestly, today we just worked on something new in my bullpen. Just switched something up a little bit with my changeup, gave it a lot more movement, so it could be another pitch that I throw in there a lot more often. And but the biggest thing for me has just been a small mechanical adjustment. We looked at film right when I got here, or even this summer when I was getting recruited, and very, very obvious, something that was, kind of leaking a little bit of, command or whatnot. And, we just instantly worked on it. And I would say that's been the biggest thing for me so far, is just, that small little tweak.
So no offense to any of the players that you faced in California, I don't mean it that way at all, but what can you not get away with here that maybe you could get away with at your previous stop?
I would say just the level of hitter is a little bit different. Yeah. I would say there you have the opportunity to get away, kind of missing sometimes, the pitch isn't executed as correctly, or the hitters will basically get themselves out on the same pitch multiple times. Here, or at least at this level, I think what's very different is each hitter is very skilled. Oftentimes you're not going to get them out the same way twice. And if you do, odds are the third time you probably won't. So it's just having the ability to, pitch differently to these guys, because they hit your mistakes a lot more.
Sure. I thought that might be the case. Sean Youngerman is with us. And so at this level, is self-awareness even more important? In other words, really understanding. Of course, Rob Walton helps you with this. What am I good at? What am I not so good at? What can I get away with? Those types of things. Is it even more important as a pitcher to understand kind of who you are and what you are when you're dealing with those types of hitters?
100%. You gotta know what works for you, and you gotta be on a constant basis with the coach. This is what feels good today, or even like we were talking to Coach Walton, and he said, hey, like, if it's one of those days and your slider might not be working, he's like, let me know. He's like, because it might take you a couple innings, figure it out when you're in the game, but. It's just basically knowing yourself and knowing what you're good at and what's best each day and what feels best, and trusting the stuff that you have.
You've closed and you've started.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't ask you which you prefer necessarily, but how have you had to transition mentally, if at all, when you've been in both those roles?
I definitely think the biggest transition from a starter to reliever is just simply like how you prepare. I think when you're in a reliever role, it's kind of spontaneous. It's like, all right, like, you probably going in the game, go ahead, get up, get ready. Starting role, you kind of have more time to sit there and, make sure everything, you're, fully loose, or you go through whatever routine you might have as a starter. And I'd say those are the two biggest, that's the biggest difference. Another one that I noticed is when you come out of the bullpen as a reliever, you got a lot of adrenaline flowing, right? So, oftentimes you're going to go maybe 2 innings, 3 innings out of the pen, especially later in the game. So it's okay to use that adrenaline. In a starting role, though, you kind of got to save it, because if you use all your adrenaline in the first or second inning, you're not going to be able to go very deep into a game.
Well, and one of the things is when you come in, certainly in the middle of an inning, as a closer, you're coming in crisis.
Right.
And there's base runners. So it's not like you can just sort of, not that you ease your way into a start, but you're not having to worry about holding runners. Does that make sense? You can sort of work your way into the start versus even if you come into the beginning of an inning, the dynamics are totally different. So 100%. That has to be an adjustment, right?
Yes. As a starter, you set the tone for the game. That's kind of how it is. You set the tone for the offense. You set the tone for the series, depending on when you throw. And but exactly like you just said, very different. You're the guy getting into those situations, hopefully not getting into those situations, as opposed to, all right, you're coming in the game and you're getting us out of that situation. So it is just a little bit different, yeah.
Did it change how you approached starting it all after you closed?
I don't think so, to be honest with you. I think I just continue with the same mentality, whether it's starting or relieving, and that's just I'm going to be on the attack no matter what. So I think just that mentality of, it's go time. Whenever you're in the game, it's go time. It's just that might be the biggest thing. But
understood. So it was go time in terms of going a long way from home.
Yes.
California to Stillwater. What's that transition been like? It's a little bit different, I would guess.
Right. No, yeah. Definitely a few differences. I'm not going to the beach every weekend. Did
you go to the beach every weekend at home?
So at my old school, we were about 5 minutes from the beach, 5 minutes from the water. So very easy for us to just head down there as a team. But honestly, biggest difference is the weather. I got a little bit colder. I'd never seen snow before until I got here. So that's honestly just been the biggest adjustment. We play baseball year round, so I'm not used to, all right, we're practicing inside today. So, but other than that, not too much. Yeah.
That's the interesting thing people don't think about. You have to loosen up, stretch out differently when it's cold. So for that, it was a new experience. Like, oh, wow, it's 45 degrees. And
absolutely.
Did you have to ask guys about, okay, so how do you make sure you're loose in this? Because it's 65, 70 every day at home. Did you have to learn about that, or did you have an understanding of your body?
I kind of had an understanding of my body. It's always for each individual guy. It's just what feels good. And you kind of can tell, all right, this is what I need to do. I would say it's a slight adjustment because, like you said, it's colder. It takes a little bit more time to get your body loose. But just being able to have the resources we have, that red light sauna or even just a hot tub just kind of makes that process a little bit easier, allows you to get your body warm. And then obviously the gear that they give us is, thermals and things like that. Just make sure we're good to go and, try to keep us healthy and everything like that too with that.
How cool has it been to be a part of this program that has won big and has facilities, and at the top of that list, a stadium that is second to none?
It's special. That's the best way to describe it. I'm very lucky to be able to come here every day and walk into this ballpark and facility. And, I still tell people when they ask, every single time I walk in here, it still doesn't feel real. It's amazing. So,
could you have imagined a couple of years ago you'd be here doing this?
I wouldn't say that I would imagine being here, but just in general, yes. Still playing baseball, obviously, but this is different. So I wouldn't imagine this exactly.
So there's a little trade-off in everything. You played conference games in Hawaii at your previous stop.
Right.
And now this. So there's a lot of differences. But you did in your old conference.
Right.
You played conference games in Hawaii.
Yes.
So did you go over there and just knock them all out at once? Is that what you did, or how'd you do that?
So it flips every single year. I believe it goes two at home, 1 on the road, and then it'll flip. So it'll be 2 on the road, 1 at home. Last year we went and played 8 games in 7 days. during our spring break, so it wasn't a bad time for us to be in Hawaii. You know, we didn't have any other things to worry about. But that was a cool experience too. So.
Well, we can't out for Hawaii, but we're surely glad you're here.
Thank you
for the time.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
That's Sean Youngerman.